Thinking is the most important work that we do. Thomas Edison said, thinking is the hardest work of all. That's why most people would rather die than think. And yet thinking is the most important thing you do, because the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your decisions. The quality of your decisions determines the quality of your actions. The quality of your actions determines the quality of your results. And of course, your results determine the quality of your life. In business, the bottom line of everything is results. And the question is, does it work? And does it work, and how well does it work, and how well does it work in comparison with other things? So in business, you have one central focus and one question. Does it work, and how well does it work? We say when we talk about business, how much in, how much out, how fast, how sure. Those are the four questions that you always ask. And so thinking has the most important results because of one word, and it's one of my favorite words in time management. It's the word consequences. And consequence is a great word because something is important to the degree to which it has potentially serious consequences. Something is unimportant to the degree to which it has low or no consequences. Now you can always tell important people because what do important people work on? Things that have potentially important consequences. You'll find that unimportant or unsuccessful people are people who work on things that have low or no consequences. You take the 80-20 rule, which I've studied all my life as you have. Why is it the top 20% make 80% of the money? Top 10% make 90%. Now here's the interesting thing, is that life is very much like a marathon. We all start off at the same line, we're all ready to go, and we start running, and everybody's got pretty much the same abilities and the same opportunities. We go to the same schools, we go to the same colleges, and yet some people get way, way ahead, the mass stay in the middle, and some people fall so far behind they think they're first. And so why is this? And well, this has been studied for year after year, and we find there's one single difference, it's the way you think. And what we have found, the series of articles in Inc. magazine, they were interviewing people who'd become fabulously successful, rags to riches stories. Every one of them said the only reason I succeeded is because I developed the habit of always looking for the opportunity, always looking for something good or positive in what I was doing. Whereas other people, they have a setback and go, oh my God, wah, 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 and they go home and drink and watch television and so on. But successful people are always looking for the opportunity. They think differently.
Mastery in any field requires 10,000 hours or 7 years of hard work, or both. Most people only become wealthy after the age of 40 or 50 if they achieve it at all. It takes them many years of hard work, continuous learning, and experience to develop an extensive enough repertoire of patterns so that they can recognize and take advantage of opportunities that appear to them. Up to that time, they make many mistakes. 2 steps forward and 1 step back, as they say. The foundation of self-confidence. The law of incremental improvement is your key to an unlimited future of success, prosperity, and self-confidence. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. All that matters is where you're going. As Theodore Roosevelt said, do what you can with what you have where you are. By applying the law of incremental improvement to yourself and your work, you can begin moving upward toward joining the great ones in your field. If you are doing what you love to do, and you are doing it with all your heart, by engaging in continuous personal and professional improvement, you can begin to move forward at such a rapid rate that it will astonish you. You've heard of the 80-20 rule, which says that 80% of the income goes to 20% of the people. Your goal, if you are not already there, should be to join the top 20% in your field. If you're in the top 20% already, your job is to get into the top 10%, and then the top 5%, and then the top 4%, and so on. Your goal should be to be the best. Your goal is to be recognized by those around you as outstanding in your field. Your goal must be to pay any price, overcome any obstacle, and make any effort necessary to become excellent in your chosen career.
Probably no skill that's more closely correlated with success and achievement in every part of your life than the ability to manage your time well. It'll bring you to the attention of your superiors faster. It'll help you to get more done in a shorter period of time. It'll make you feel better about yourself. It'll lead to faster promotions, higher status, greater pay, and everything. And in the time that we have together, I'm going to share with you some of the methods, techniques, and ideas used by the most superior time managers, men and women in every area of endeavor in America. Time management is essential to your health as well. Not just your productivity, but you only feel good about yourself to the degree to which you feel you're in control of your time and your life. In fact, the major reason for stress in America is a feeling of being out of control, a feeling of having too much to do and too little time to do it in. In this program, you're going to learn how to gain at least 2 hours per day. You may be able to increase your time management effectiveness by 50% or even double your output. So one of the most important things that you think about, and we'll come back to this in a few minutes, is what would you do if you could increase your output by 25 or 50% per day? What would it mean to you if you could double your productivity, which you can if you just use these techniques over and over again? Well, there's 4 requirements for you to make these techniques work for you. We call these the 4 Ds. The first D is desire. It's want. You must have a burning desire to be effective at time management. The second D is decision. You must make a decision that you are going to become an expert in this subject. You are going to take this course, you're going to use these materials, you're going to practice them over and over again, because what we have found is in the absence of a decision, nothing ever happens. You need a clear, unequivocal, do-or-die, burn-the-bridges decision that this is a subject that you are going to master. The third D is discipline. You must discipline yourself to practice and repeat over and over again good time management techniques. In fact, we say that time management is self-discipline in action, and the ability to discipline yourself more than anything else is going to determine your success in life. And the fourth D, to become excellent in time management, is determination. You must have the ability to persist. You must have the determination to keep on keeping at it, long enough until you become very, very good in this field. But I promise you this, the payoff is tremendous, because you see, time management is really life management. Everything that you do to improve the quality of your time management will improve and enhance every part of your life. You can even say it this way: the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your time management. The quality of your life will be determined by the way you use your time minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, because your time is your life.
There's lots of research on the qualities of wealthy entrepreneurs. The first quality of all is hard work. 85% of successful entrepreneurs say that the reason was because of hard work. The second was because of self-discipline, is they were able to discipline themselves to work on their most important tasks all day. The third was persistence in the face of resistance, difficulties, setback, failure, loss, and so on. So if you took those 3, they would be 90% of success. Is first of all, hard work. Second of all, self-discipline. Third of all, persistence. Well, the starting point is to plan every day in writing, on paper. If you do not have a written plan, then it will be like driving on a slippery road. You will go all over the road. The second thing to realize is there's only 3 things you do each day that account for 90% of your value. We call these the big 3. Sometimes I teach it as the law of 3. There are 3 activities that account for 90%. Everything else you do accounts for 10% or less. So you have to ask yourself, what are the 3 most important things that I do in my work? And then you have to discipline yourself to start with the most important task and work on that task until it is complete. And it's a very simple principle, but it is the beginning and the middle and the end of success. Decide on your most important task, begin immediately, and work on that task with self-discipline until it is 100% complete. In life, it's a very simple principle, but all success comes from completing tasks. It's not from working at tasks, it's from completing tasks. It is only when you complete tasks that you are successful. So then you have to ask, what are the most important tasks that I should complete? And the rule is, do not check your email before 11 a.m. in the morning. Because if you check your email and it will be 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening and you're still checking your email. So the email should be used very carefully, because email is a great danger for distraction. Distraction is the opposite of discipline. So the way that you control electronic interruptions is you turn them off. Turn off your computer, turn them all off so that you can work on those activities that generate the most revenue. The most important key to success is to start and complete one important task first thing in the morning. If you eat the frog, if you try to do many things, you end up doing nothing. So you make a list of all your work before you begin, and then you ask, if I could only do one thing on this list, which one activity is the most important? And then you do that activity, only that, until it's complete. If you start every day by completing a task, you will double and triple your productivity. Yes. Well, that brings us back to our discussion about goal setting. Is you have to have written goals as well for your life. A recent study comparing rich people and poor people, they find that 85% of rich people have one big goal that they work on all the time. Only 3% of poor people have goals. So you have to decide what is your biggest goal. If you are in business, usually your biggest goal is income. Personal income, business income. So if that is your biggest goal, that's clear, then you say, what are the activities that I do to generate income? And of all of those, right now, which is the most important for generating income? And so entrepreneurs always think in terms of revenue generation and what we call value creation.
Tap your creative potential. Accept the fact that every single human being is a genius, and all successful men and women are creative. They're creative in that they respond to their world differently. They ask questions. They're flexible. They're curious. You know what the hallmark of creativity is? Curiosity. The hallmark of ignorance and stupidity is the cessation or stopping from asking questions. And I've worked with some of the brightest men and women in this nation, and I find that the smartest people of all, the ones that have the greatest education and the most experience, are the ones who ask the most questions. They ask questions almost as if they were children, but they never stop asking questions. They're very open and flexible, and they have the ability, once they learn a new piece of information, to drop what they're doing if the new information contradicts it and do something else. Do you know what most people do? Most people keep on doing what they're doing until they run into a wall. As they say, the more you do of what you're doing, the more you'll get of what you've got. Someone pointed out to me not long ago, and I think it's very true, is that all changes in our life come with the input of new information. That if we do not have new information, we keep on doing the same thing forever as the result of inertia. And creative people are always looking for faster, better, easier, cheaper, newer ways to do things. Remember, 80% of everything that we are doing today in our general business will be different 5 years from now. 80% of the products that we use, the food that we eat, the cars we drive, the music we listen to, the movies we go to, even the streets we drive on, 80% of everything will be new in 5 years. That's how rapidly things are changing. According to the research, all you need is an idea that's 10% new to start a fortune. An idea that's 10% new. As a matter of fact, an idea that's more than 10% new is probably too new for the average consumer to accept it. An idea that's 10% new. Interesting point. The single greatest source of self-made millionaires in America. Do you know what industry it is? Can you guess? You wouldn't believe it. Dry cleaning. Dry cleaning shops is the greatest single source, one industry that's contributed more self-made millionaires than any other industry. Dry cleaning shops. Now the key to this, if you want to become wealthy, I'm going to tell you something, that if you want to be wealthy in life, if you wish to become very wealthy, if you wish to become even a millionaire, you can do it if you're willing to pay the price. But most people become millionaires by offering a good or service that people use all the time, and they offer it just a little bit better. They do it just a little bit faster. They put a little bit more grace or finesse into what they're doing. They handle it, they wrap it, they are more polite. The restaurant that has people coming back to it may have food that's only 5% different, but it's the way the people handle it that's so different. You can do anything you want in life. All you have to do is find an idea that's 10% new. And you'll find it if you flood your mind, read magazines, read books, ask questions, ask why people are doing things the way they're doing. I was talking to a man not long ago who made $1 million in Chicago, and he made it laying bricks. And he never laid bricks in his life. But he went to a union bricklaying job, a large building downtown, and he asked them why they were laying bricks like that and why half the men were sitting around. They said, well, that's the way we always lay bricks. He said, well, how come all the men are sitting around? They said, well, because they have to lay the corners first and then the men fill the bricks in between. He said, why can't they lay the corners and the walls at the same time? He said, we just don't do it that way. So he sat down, knew nothing about construction. He sat down, he came up with a system that enables you to build the center of the wall and the corners simultaneously. And then he bid on construction jobs. And he could bid 40% under any company using the old method. And within a year, he'd made over $1 million in construction. He had half the construction in Chicago a few years ago. And he didn't know anything about it. Look for ideas. Keep your mind open and flexible. Ask questions. Remember, one new idea is all you need to start a fortune. And within every single person here, you have 4 ideas, an average of 4 ideas per year driving to and from work, any one of which will make you a fortune. Any one of which will make you wealthy. How many times, I can prove it to you. Want me to prove it to you? How many times have you been going about your daily business and you see the need for a product or service? And you say, now I wonder why somebody doesn't produce that. And about 2 or 3 years, then you say, well, it can't be any good. I thought of it after all. Have people like me for a member. So we get those ideas and we say, well, it can't be any good because I thought of it. And then 2 or 3 years later, a company comes out with that idea, or some company comes and makes $1 million that, and you say, I thought of that idea 2 or 3 years ago. Every single person here has had that experience. What you have to do is trust your ideas. Trust your idea. If you decide that you're going to earn a certain amount of money, that you're going to achieve a certain level of wealth, that you're going to achieve a certain life estate, and you program that into your subconscious mind, and you then turn it over to your intuition, you will get the ideas, the insights, the inspirations necessary to achieve your goals. And that's the only difference between very wealthy, successful people and the average person, is that they simply follow their intuition. They're not smarter, they're not different, they're not more educated, they're not more talented, they just follow that inner guide. Consideration is based on the fact that the quality of your relationships with other people more than anything else will determine your success in life. How well you get along with other human beings, your quality of interaction will determine your happiness, your success, your achievement, your wealth, and anything else. Charles Schwab, the founder of U.S. Steel, said that I will pay more for the ability to get along with others than for any other skill in America. And that's very, very true. Develop the people skills that you need to be successful. Take courses in communications. Take courses in effective listening. Take courses in public speaking. You know, one of the most important parts of communicating and getting along well with others is the size of your vocabulary. You've probably heard that before. The size of your vocabulary, your ability to express yourself orally, your ability to stand on your feet, your ability to write effectively and get your point across to others will have a tremendous impact on your life, because you cannot imagine a successful person who cannot communicate effectively with other people. And you can develop the capacity to be an excellent communicator.
One of the most successful people in the world is Bill Gross of PIMCO, and manages $3 trillion in bonds. And he's remarkable because he turns off everything most of the day. He doesn't check his email, he doesn't check social media, he even turns off his phone. And yet he never misses an important contact, never misses an important communication, and runs one of the biggest bond portfolios in the world with no electronic communication. Yes, and people don't realize that we've entered into an age today where many people are missing most of their possibilities for success and happiness because of electronic interruptions. Is they become almost addicted to interruptions. And there's almost every week, there's something in the Harvard Business Review or Wall Street Journal and the psychological journals talking about what this attraction to distraction is doing to our mind. Because the key to success is the ability to focus. You cannot focus, you can't do anything. The key to success is the ability to start and complete a job. It's as simple as that. Task completion is the difference between success and failure. High income, low income, satisfaction and frustration, it all comes down to task completion. So most people, only 3% of adults have goals. And those 3% own the world. They make 10 times as much in their jobs on average as people without goals. So it'd be the same as going downtown in a busy city to go to a restaurant, but not getting the address. And you notice, well, it's downtown somewhere. So what do? You just head for downtown and you just drive around. 97, but 80% or more people do that with their lives. Clear about where they want to go. For example, you say, well, how much do you want to earn on a year-by-year basis, this year, next year, the year after? And then you come back to the present and you say, well, all right, what will you have to do to earn that amount? And then you work out a variety of different things you could do, and you work out a plan, and you've been working on your plan. What additional skills will you require? Where you'll need to focus? What results will you need to get? Where will the money come from? By thinking these things through, you actually increase the likelihood of achieving the goal. Not guarantee, but the likelihood by about 10 times. All over the world where I teach these principles, people come back to me and say, I cannot believe the difference in my life since I began practicing goal setting. I'll say, there's several ways that you can double your income quite quickly. And I'll give you some of them during the course of the day. And I say, well, let me just give you one right now, and I'll give you some more later. And I call it the AB method. I said, I want you to imagine that you have two types of tasks, A tasks and B tasks, all right? A tasks are those tasks that move you towards something that you say you really want, something that's important to you, a goal, all right? And B tasks are tasks that not only don't move you towards something you want, they just move you away. So every day you have to ask, is this an A task or a B task? And then do only A tasks. Don't do B tasks at all. And that'll double your income in the following week and double it again later. And people just go, one of my favorite little comments is what kids put on their SMSs, SMH. SMH, my favorite, shaking my head. And people in the audience go, shaking my head. You mean if I only do the most important things that move me toward my most important goals, I don't do anything else but that, I'll double my income? Yes, you can all go home now. 10 minutes into the seminar, or a one-day seminar, you can all go home now. You've had your money's worth. What does this require? I said, well, it's called the D word. And what is the D word? Discipline. You know what to do. You know what your most important tasks are. You know if what you're doing is moving you toward that. You just have to have the discipline to do only A tasks. Until you're all caught up with your A tasks, then you can do your B tasks, your low value, no value, useless, time-wasting fun tasks. But I can promise you this, you'll never get caught up with your A tasks. I started studying time management more than 30 years ago. I was asked to do a program on it. And one of the things I found is that people get into a rhythm, either positive or negative. The positive rhythm is where they start with their big tasks. The negative is where they start with little tasks. So the rule is never give in to the temptation to clear up small things first. Because small things are like rabbits, they multiply. And if you start off with small things and you try to clear up all your small things before you get to your big thing, now it's 5 or 6 o'clock and you're burned out and tired and you're stressed and all you've done is little things all day. So what you do instead is you flip it over, and before you check your email, before you do anything, just simply start and do your most important task and complete it. And once you've decided that this is your most important task, then everything else is a relative waste of time, based on your own definition. So if you're not working on that task, you are, to a degree, just simply wasting your time and your life, by your own definition. I'm a teacher, so I'm a speaker. And so I'm always thinking, how can I help my clients achieve their goals faster? What I find is my very best clients are either entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, they're very much the same, and business owners. So what do they want to do? Well, they want to increase their sales and profitability. That's one common denominator of everyone in business. You, me, we all want to sell more stuff and earn more money. So I focus on helping people change their thinking, their planning, their strategies, their focus, so that they're making more sales faster and easier, and they're earning more money, they're earning greater profits. And today, for example, one of my favorite subjects has to do with business model reinvention. You see, every company has a business model. You have one, and I have one, and your business model is actually your profit model. And it is the steps that you take from first thing in the morning. It's what you do all day long in your business to generate profits. What we find is there's 12 parts to a profit model. And if one of those parts is broken, like in an engine or a motor, then the whole motor slows down. Or if it's a breakdown in a car, the whole car stops. It's a useless hunk of metal sitting by the side of the road because you've got one valve that's out in your carburetor.
So there's 3 thinking tools I want to give you. So the 3 ways of thinking, which I start off, the first way I start off every seminar is what I call zero-based thinking. And everybody who knows me for any period of time knows that I harp on this. Zero-based thinking comes from zero-based accounting, where you, instead of increasing an expense in the next accounting period, you ask, should we be engaging in this expense at all? And with zero-based thinking, you look at your entire world and you ask this question: knowing what I now know, is there anything that I am doing that I would not start up again today if I had to do it over? This is one of the greatest thinking tools I've ever learned, because in a time of turbulence, you always have an answer for this question. Each person has an answer. Some people have multiple answers. There's lots of things that they're doing today that, knowing what they now know, they wouldn't get into today. They wouldn't start them up. Products they wouldn't offer, people they wouldn't hire, investments they wouldn't make. And these are the greatest drags in life. These are sort of like a sea anchor, you know, that you drop it and it drags, it slows down the boat. Well, how do you tell if you have a zero-based thinking situation? And many of you were asked to write your problems, challenges, opportunities. The answer is stress. Is whenever you experience chronic stress, it's something that buzzes around. When Joe's talking or somebody else is talking, you're busy thinking about that. You drive around and you think about it. It keeps you awake at night. It's something that pisses you off. It's something that irritates you, angers you, and frustrates you. Whenever you have chronic, which means ongoing, continuous, this is a candidate for zero-based thinking. So you ask yourself the question, if I was not now in this situation, knowing what I now know, would I get into it again today? If the answer is no, the next question is, how do I get out and how fast? How do I get out and how fast? If ever the answer comes back that I would not get into this again today, it's too late to resolve it. It's over. The only question now is, how long do you suffer? How much emotional suffering, how much financial suffering do you make before you walk? And so the most important requirement for practicing zero-based thinking, which a lot of people don't like to practice, is courage. I call it the C word. You need the C word. You need to have the courage to look at every part of your life and say, is there anything that I'm doing that, knowing what I now know, I wouldn't get into? Now, the starting point of zero-based thinking is always with your relationships, and those are both personal and business. Whenever I've given this talk, by the way, within a short period of time, divorces take place all over that city. People go home and say, geez, if I hadn't married this person, I would never marry them again today. And that's what's making me miserable. And many people are working their heads off on the outside to achieve success, but inside they're frustrated and unhappy because they're in a situation that, knowing what they now know, they would never get into. So I call this a quink analysis, and I'm going to ask you to do this for the rest of your life and do help other people do it. K-W-I-N-K, knowing what I now know. Do a quink analysis on everything. Do a quink analysis. In my company, what we say is, we look at every single person and on a regular basis, and we say, if we had not hired this person and they walked in today to apply for their current job, knowing what we now know, would we hire them? If the answer is no, they're gone that day. There's a little rule, by the way, that in one of my books, it says the best time to fire a person is the first time it crosses your mind. And because after that, it's only pain and suffering. And if the longer you keep them in place, the more likely they are to sue you. And the longer they sue you, the more it's going to cost. So therefore, if you find that you've made a mistake, belly up to the bar, have the courage to admit I made a mistake, and cut your losses. The second area has to do with every part of your business. Joe and I were talking about what I think is a revolutionary new field, though it's not revolutionary and it's not new, but it's business model innovation. And it's based on the concept that whatever business model you're using today is probably obsolete. If you're in any kind of a business that uses technology to market it, especially an information-based business, knowledge-based business, consulting services, training, anything else, chances are your business is obsolete. The way that you and the business model is your method, your step-by-step process of generating profitability. Now, there are some companies that struggle along, and then find a new business model, and the next year their business is up 5 or 10 times. Profits are just overwhelming. They're living in big houses on the hill, driving Cadillacs and flying private jets, and you say, what on earth did they do? They changed their business model. And if you don't change your business model, if it's the wrong business model, two things are going to happen. Your competitors are going to come up with a new business model and eat your lunch, and or you're going to go broke. So it doesn't mean that your business model is wrong. It just means that you must be open to the possibility that your business model is obsolete, and that just means that there is a better business model. There's a superior business model, and your job is to find it. Now, the third area has to do with investments in zero-based thinking. Investments of time, which people hate to lose. Someone said earlier that people hate to lose. It's one of the greatest emotions. We hate to lose time if we've invested a lot of time in a course of action, a project, a business, a relationship. The second is emotion. If we put a lot of emotion into a course of action, a product, a course of study, a relationship, or money. We hate to admit that we made a mistake, and that what seemed like a good idea at the time has turned out not to be a good idea, and knowing what I now know, I wouldn't get into it. And have the courage to cut your losses and run. Now, the reason I teach this first is because you can't make any progress unless you clear the decks, unless you get this 800-pound gorilla that's holding you back out of your life. The second thinking tool that I teach people is WPO thinking, which is worst possible outcome. In everything that you're doing, always ask yourself, what is the worst possible outcome of this course of action? And can I survive it if it were to occur? And if not, what could I do to make sure it doesn't happen? One of the number one reasons that we worry about anything in life is because of fear. And when you ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen in this particular situation? And then if you can say, all right, if that happens, I'll live with it. Then your worry goes away and your mind goes clear and calm. And now you say, now what can I do to make sure that the worst does not happen? And then you become proactive and you take charge of your life. The third thinking tool is called the principle of constraints. And it's one of the most important thinking tools ever discovered. It says between you and anything that you want to accomplish, there's always a constraint, a limiting factor, or a choke point that sets the speed at which you accomplish your goal. So I was just doing a teleconference a few minutes ago. So the question I said is, let's always set the goal of doubling our income. You want to double your income. Okay, want to double your income. Then why isn't your income already twice as high? Now in business, we don't think of doubling our income, we think of doubling our profitability. What we're concerned with is net cash flow. We're concerned with the amount that we take home to our family at the end of the day. Not the gross, but the triple net. So we say, if I want to earn twice as much, and everybody in here can and will earn 2, 3, 4, 5 times as much sometime in the future. If I want to earn twice as much, why aren't I already earning twice as much? And the number one reason for most people is distraction. So they're so distracted, they're doing things of low or no consequences. But we found the 80-20 rule applies to constraints. 80% of the constraints that are holding you back from achieving your financial goals are within yourself and within your business. They are not the competition, they are not the market, they are not the people in Washington or the taxes or regulation. 80% are within yourself. So the mark of the superior person is whenever they have a problem, they say, what is it in me that's causing this problem? Mike and I know this very, very clearly. What is it in me that's causing this problem? In illness, by the way, 85% of illness is psychosomatic. As Dennis Waitley said, it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you that's causing the problem. And so the starting point, and the first thing a doctor will tell you, or a psychologist, is what is it that you're not dealing with? And you can go back to zero-based thinking. What is it that you have in your life that if you had to do it over, you wouldn't do it? So ask yourself what's holding you back, and usually it's the quality of self-discipline or it's a skill. Now, one of the things that changed my life forever was when I learned that all business skills are learnable. You don't have to be a genius to learn any business skill. You can learn any form of technology, as Mike has proven that with his products. You can take a person who's basically shoveling shoe polish in Shabokin and teach them how to be technologically superior enough to earn a living from it. Every business skill is learnable. And so I say, what one skill, if you are absolutely excellent at it in your business, would help you the most to double your income? What one business skill? If you could wave a magic wand and wake up tomorrow morning superb in this area, what skill would it be? And you know, when you ask that question, everybody knows the answer. They know what it is. But here's the challenge. You don't like the skill because it involves rejection, embarrassment, ego, potential failure, loss. You've tried it in the past, you haven't been good at it. But nobody asked you what would be an easy skill to learn. They just asked you what skill would help you the most to double your income. And here's what we have found is that most of us are only one skill away from doubling our income. And all business skills are learnable. And if you study the people who go from the top to the bottom in the Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000, they found in 25 years of research, these people learn one skill at a time. Like climbing the ladder of success and the ladder of income, like sniper, one shot, one kill. They don't try to learn 50 skills. They learn the one skill, focus, the most important skill, and they get their company focusing on the one skill that can help you the most to generate sales and profit.